Welcome to Breaking Silence, a safe and brave space where we have real conversations about race in America. Okay, so the two things that I wanted to make sure that we talked about in our conversation today with, do you feel how I feel, was a little bit of like I said, the roller coaster that I went through in the process of reaching out to various friends of mine who are people of color in my life. And Aziza was the first person that I reached out to. So if we start at kind of the beginning, how I was feeling, I spent a long time debating with myself on whether I should say anything. How should I say something? Let me type this and then delete it. It's almost like trying to ask someone out on a date for the first time, like call and hang up the phone, and just really second guessing myself because I wanted to make sure that these friends knew that I was thinking of them. And it's not that this was the first time that something had happened that I was thinking of them, but it was the first time I think I felt compelled enough to actually reach out a hand for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I'm quarantined in my house for a month and a half. Maybe it's the intensity of everything. Maybe I don't know what the reason was, but the spirit moved me, so I did. And just to dig in a little bit into what the apprehension or the anxiety was around reaching out or not reaching out, because there is a little bit of like a damned if you do and a damned if you don't, I think, as a white person that I've seen, in that if we don't say something, if we don't reach out, if we're not educated on what's going on, then it's like we don't care. And then on some spectrum as well, if we do reach out or we are trying to support, there are people that resist that or that send a message of it's not welcomed, or I mean, I can't speak for all of the reasons that exists, but I mean, Aziza, you even shared a few examples with me from your social media and channels or influencers that may be primarily followed by the Black community and may not have as much exposure in the white community, of just some of the advice, I guess, that those Black individuals were giving to the white community. And they're highly, highly emotional, again, understandable, the level of emotion in those. And some of the things that were included in it was, I'm not going to remember the exact title, but one was by a doctor, and she said, 8 reasons why you need to...
13.
13, okay. Aziza remembers. 13 reasons why you need to think twice before reaching out to your Black friends. And some of the reasons were things like, I don't have the energy or the time to make you feel better. Yesterday, you were posting pictures of banana bread on your Instagram, and now all of a sudden you care about racial injustice. I have to go back and rewatch it. I mean, there was plenty, but it was very clear. And so if that was my only data point as a white person, I would have just put down my phone and said, I'm not going to say anything. I am not reaching out. This is terrifying. And, all my friends are going to hate me. All my Black friends are going to hate me if I'm reaching out to them, because I can't possibly actually relate to their experience. Another one is a woman, and she's sharing how, it's don't reach out to me and ask me to give you resources. It is not my job to educate you, and it's not my job to share all of these things. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, right? I mean, it's 2020, people, like, Google it. But the undercurrent of don't engage, don't reach out, just figure your ish out and move on with your life is definitely out there. And because I'd never engaged in these conversations with my friends before, I had absolutely no idea on what end of the spectrum people were going to react. So I thought it was valuable just to bring that to light, that if you are trying to reach out, to be mindful, I think, of a few things, because there are valid points in what these people are saying. So I'm not trying to invalidate their emotions or their experience. It's just bringing to light some of the impact that may result from people actually seeing those social media posts. And so if you are a white person reaching out to a Black friend, checking your intention. Are you really making it all about you? Are you reaching out because you want to make yourself feel better? So we talked about in the last episode, virtue signaling, which is the action or practice of publicly expressing opinions or sentiments intended to demonstrate one's good character or the moral correctness of one's position on a particular issue. Is that what you're doing, or are you sincerely concerned about your friend? What is your level of relationship with this individual? Are you actually really close friends? Aziza and I have been friends for 14 years. We call each other we're each other's keep it real friends, work, wife, whatever, even though I think you've cheated on me in the past, but that's fine. So she and I have that relationship. I did not reach out to every single Black person in my contacts list with this message. I chose the people that I knew I had really close relationships with and who knew me and whom I felt I had that level of intimacy and trust to reach out to. Because I don't have the same level of relationship with everyone, and that's okay, but I need to understand where that trust is and where it's not, and where am I really concerned and where am I just helping myself feel better, I guess. So I was just thinking through that, and then also processing a bit of what the different reactions might be. And I'm actually curious, Aziz, I mean, I know you shared a little bit with me when I reached out to you, but I'm curious when the text came through and you read it, like what your initial reaction was. Like, did you pause? Did you respond right away? Like, were you unsure? Were you happy? I'm curious for you.
Yeah, so much was happening all at once, it seemed. So it wasn't even like I had time to like sit and think like, is anybody going to reach out to me? Are my white friends going to reach out to me? Are my Black friends going to reach out to me? So it was like such a surprise that it happened. And at the same time, such a treat. It made me feel seen and valued. And it was for me a true act of care and of friendship. So I was happy. I wasn't prepared because, like I said, everything was just happening. And you reached out, and then I had one other white friend reach out. So for me, I've had two white friends reach out, and it was like right in the beginning when everything was just happening. So I appreciated the timing, and I appreciated you giving me the opportunity to have the conversation and to respond, because I realized, like, even as I was responding to you, I would just like burst into tears about realizations I was having by putting my thoughts and feelings into words to share with you. I was having like realizations about myself and how I had been, moving through the world and what I had been making okay. And it was just really healthy for me being that first time in that first conversation. So I thought it was a treat. It was a surprise. And yeah, I was thankful for it. It made me feel special, especially after weeks later when I did, just to share, my Black friends didn't even reach out to me for probably the first 4 weeks, right? So weeks later, when my Black friends were even talking to me about it, we even like kind of said like, oh, did people reach out to you? Are people reaching out to you? And I was proud to say, my friend Jennifer reached out to me a month ago. I had another friend reach out to me. So, I mean, my family didn't reach out to me, but my Jennifer reached out to me, and I felt proud to be able to say that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And I guess my other question would be, do you see, like, in your circles where someone would have a different response? And maybe assuming the same level of friendship, not that it's somebody who's an acquaintance, but someone who is a close friend reaching out, and them not feeling that this is helpful or that this is helping me feel seen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can think of two friends right off the bat. that I think would have similar reactions to me, that would appreciate it and would lean into the conversation. I do have one friend right off the bat that I can think of that would be like hesitant and maybe cautious, not suspicious, but cautious, like, what is this
Like
about?
test the intention maybe first. Like to test the other person's intentions maybe first and see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah. So it's, for me, it's mixed. And I think I've already shared, I have, I don't have a lot of people of color in my close inner circle. I have probably 4. So yeah, for me, I guess it's like half and half on people who would really appreciate it and want to talk to that. And when I think about who would and who would not, it's interesting, maybe noteworthy, that the people that would have a lot more white people relationships, and the people that would not have chosen to not have more white people relationships because of the fact that sometimes they can be more or less authentic and problematic. So I don't know if that's noteworthy, but my sample size is so small, that might not be noteworthy. But
Well, and I think that brings up the next point, which is the response. So if you are courageous enough to reach out and you've thought about the way in which you're doing it, and you're doing so to really check on your friend and to open the conversation, you could be received with open arms. I was so grateful that I had a positive response from you. And so that is the ideal situation, right? And then it kind of opened this entire floodgate, and it's like we've been talking about it, I think, almost daily since then. And clearly launching a vlog. So it has had a pretty significant impact for us. And then there was the 2 other folks that I reached out to. I got, I would say maybe neutral, like appreciative, but perhaps cautious responses. I don't know exactly how to interpret what the emotion was behind it, but it was basically like a thank you so much for checking in. Here's a quick little update on how I'm doing, but maybe surface level. And I had to give benefit of the doubt, assume positive intent, and realize, like, if they wanted the floodgate to open, the floodgate would open, and if they didn't, they didn't. And I was also prepared that if they were upset or mad, that all I could really do was to say, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to upset you, and it's okay that you're mad. And if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it, right? But I just wanted to make sure that you knew from my side that the door was open, and that door will always be open if you change your mind. Because I think that sometimes, and especially when you're reaching out in a way that makes you feel really vulnerable, that when you open yourself to that and you feel like you've been rejected, and this could be in any aspect of your life, like I'm not just talking about race here, I mean even marriage, relationships, children, parents, whatever, that when you open yourself up to something like that and you're really kind of bearing your heart a bit, and you're rejected, it's like, well, they didn't deserve it anyway, or like, right, you want to push back on it, and, well, this is why we don't talk about this stuff, or this is why nobody reaches out about it, and this is why we can't talk about things, whatever it is that we as white people may say. So if you are reaching out, just being prepared that you don't really know what the response is that you may get, and whatever the response you get is okay, I think is really important and key. Okay, so as we said, you may get any number of reactions, and I think from the perspective of the person reaching out to the other individual, it's important to just hold that space for wherever the other person may be, because the other insight that I had from this process is that whatever the initial reaction is may not be the final reaction. So, for example, one friend that I reached out to, sent him a text, and very similar, hey, I'm just checking in with you, making sure that you're see how you're doing with everything that's been happening. Obviously, it's really tense times, and I'm here if you want to talk about it. And he replied very kindly to me. He said, "Thank you so much for checking in." Not a lot. He had not gotten a lot of people reaching out to him, so he appreciated the fact that I had sent him a note, and then I replied in kind, just saying or acknowledging the fact that I know that this is not the first time that things like this have happened. Like, I'm not so naive to think that this is new. And I acknowledge the fact that this is still the first time I've reached out. And so I haven't really figured out why now is the first time that I've reached out, but I just want to let you know that that's something that I'm aware of. So, and then he didn't reply. And so I didn't really know, like, oh, did I cross a line? Is he upset with me? Does he not know what to say? Is he making dinner? Did he fall asleep? I have no idea. I have no idea. So I just let it go. And, and he and I are pretty good friends. We talk pretty regularly. And we had a couple conversations after that text message had been sent, didn't come up. He didn't bring it up. So he's not bringing it up. I'm not bringing it up. It's fine. And just moved on, right? We were no harm, no foul. I'm not judging him for his reaction, and it's cool. So probably about a month went by, and as you all know, we are currently as we're recording, we are in the process of getting ready to launch. If you're watching this, we've already launched, but we're doing some market research and asking people to watch these videos in preparation for us going live with the channel. And he was somebody that I really valued his input, and I was curious if he would be willing to watch it. And so I made myself be brave again, and we were on the phone, and we're getting ready to hop off. And I said, hey, can I ask you this really quick question? And I explained the concept of the vlog to him and invited him to be part of the market research, and said, obviously, if this is something that you prefer not to discuss with me, it's fine. And I just want you to know that you can tell me no, and our relationship will be no different on the other side than if you had said yes or no. And at that point, he said, like, of course, I would be happy to. I'm, so happy that you asked. And it opened. There's no other way that I can describe this, but it's like this floodgate of expression. And without me even really asking, he just started sharing all of these experiences that he had had, how he's currently feeling, conversations that he and his wife are having, conversations they're having about raising their child in this environment, and things that he's feeling now that maybe he didn't even feel 6 months ago before all of these recent events happened. And so I share all of that because for a whole solid month, I really wasn't sure where he was. And I was worried that I had damaged our relationship slightly. I didn't really know. And that wasn't the case at all. And again, I don't know what he was thinking or what he was feeling. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but ultimately, coming back and opening up the conversation again, it was something that he wanted to talk about. It was something he was comfortable sharing with me, and was almost thirsty too, like the level of passion and energy behind that. And it was a similar experience to what I think, Aziza, you and I went through. And then I even had another individual, because after the conversation with him was so positive, I reached out to another person I used to work with, and a similar response from her, in that without me asking, just saying, hey, I'm here, and without me asking any questions, her sharing with me. And she's also biracial, and some of the conflicts that she's feeling with her spouse and her family around that, and recent events. And so just know that the initial reaction that you get may not be the final reaction that you get. And so just by, again, holding that space for that person and not reacting immediately or getting defensive or being hurt, even though it's uncomfortable. It's not easy to do by any means. I mean, I was thinking about it every single time he and I were talking, and debating with myself whether I should bring it up again or apologize for texting him or whatever it may be. Like, it's not easy to do, but if the door's open long enough, sometimes the other person will eventually accept that invitation.
Well, when you told me that story, I had a couple things on my mind. And one of them, just to put it out there, I'm not speaking for him by any means. I barely know him, but maybe that was an example of someone really testing your intentions or wanting to be sure, not that he did anything to test the intentions, but wanting to be sure that you wanted to know that it was more than just lip service or a trend that was across your timeline that in that moment. And I thought, yeah, that a lot of people are feeling a lot of different things, and whatever we're feeling is okay, is valid. But because of what people have to unpack and where they are at different places in the journey, they might need to not talk about it. Maybe the timing is not right. Maybe it's emotional. I know I was emotional and on the verge of tears for 1 week. Like, just I had to like really focus to get my mind right, even for work, right? So you never know where somebody is. So I love that you didn't take it personally, and you didn't make it mean anything. You didn't make it mean that he didn't care or that he was upset. I mean, thoughts crossed your mind, but you didn't make it mean anything. And it was a great example of just somebody being in the right moment and the right time to share. I was also thinking when you said that about Black people not reaching out to each other. So I hear you talking, and I feel like you're talking to white people now and giving them advice. I wanted to also just bring up the fact that I talked to a person of color that's a friend of mine, and she said to me that she wouldn't expect her Black friends to reach out. And I don't know, I take issue with that. I think we should all be reaching out to each other. It's a lonely time. It's a angry and impassioned time. And I think we should all I think this conversation is for everybody, like people of color and white people. Like, if it moves you, if you're drawn to that person, like Jen said, if you've got that relationship and that trust is there, reach out to your Black friends, reach out to your white friends. If you're Black, reach out to your Blacks. And I realize Black people probably won't be reaching out to white friends.
They could.
They could. That would take a lot of stamina and prep. I think.
Really don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. But I would say if you're Black, reach out to your Black friends if you haven't yet. Check in with them. Reach out to your biracial friends. Okay, we're lonely over here, not knowing where to go, who to go, and trying not to make things mean something that they don't really mean. So, anyways, I thought that was a great example of a journey of how it turned out for you.
It did have a happy ending, and I hope that this does not come across as what's the word I'm looking for? That I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses, or minimizing the challenge of it, right? Because if there were someone that I reached out to and they were really mad at me, like, that would be hard to not react or to judge, like, really hard. But I guess I have to check myself and think through, if I'm friends with this person, I love this person, I care about this person, and I want the relationship to be whole on the other side, what do I need to be doing on my end to help that be the case? And in this circumstance, I was able to do it. In another circumstance, I might have screwed up and I might have done it wrong. So, but I was glad that it panned out the way that it did. And I was really happy that we had the conversation. The conversation went on for another 90 minutes, maybe even 2 hours after I brought it up. And I would say I feel closer to him from that 90-minute conversation than I probably have in 5 years of our friendship.
Wow. And that's the point, right? That connection.
Because it was, I mean, we've known each other for how long? We just never talk about it. So, and I was glad that he felt comfortable to share. So it really, I don't know, what you were saying, right? That it feels like your relationships may be less genuine. And so now I feel like I've always genuinely cared about him as a person, and I've cared about his family and what he's doing and what's happening with him. But like now it's like we're real.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not this false barrier. And it's the same with you. I mean, the fact that we've been talking about it almost every day, and that I'm learning things that you've gone through. Like I never knew that you went through that as a child, what you were talking about earlier, like somebody calling you that when you were young. And like, then that's part of your experience, and it's part of who you are, and it's part of what you bring to our relationship. So I think it's important for me to know that you went through that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like we're bringing our whole self to the table. We're seeing the entire person, and yeah, that's what I see it. This conversations, I see it just making our relationships more authentic, and getting closer connections with people that we might have been keeping at a distance, not even on purpose, but just like as a way of life or as a way of survival. Like I'm going to keep this at a distance, and maybe it's not necessary to do that with everybody that we've been doing it with any longer,
Maybe.
which is
Sorry.
great. Inspiring.
It is. Sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional. I was not expecting that, but it's, I mean, it's real. That's how I feel. So
You do not have to apologize. I think that's what's happening for us all, because even though you realized it, you might not have ever said it out loud until right now. And
no, that was literally the first time that I said that out loud.
and that's what's going to happen either on this vlog or in conversations that other people have based on, seeing us do it. And it's, we got to get ready for it. Like it's stress.
It's the roller coaster. It's the roller coaster.
It is.
Okay, everybody. Well, if you are still with us and have been listening, we appreciate you sticking with it. Feel free to share this video with anyone that you may feel so moved or inspired to. And, we would love to hear from you. So if there is something that we have left out or we have not talked about in this conversation that you want to get the conversation started, please go ahead and leave that in the comments below. If you are engaging in a conversation with somebody and you're in the middle of this journey and you would like to share, please also let us know whether you're getting ready to start, whether maybe you're stuck in that limbo and not knowing where you stand currently, or if you're on the receiving end of one of those conversations, right? Like we would love to hear what you all are experiencing in your day to day. So please share and let us know.
All right. And as always, the advice that's keeping me going these days: now is not the time to be fragile.
And then, of course, mine that I love is just remember to choose kindness, be good to each other. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.